Hello and good day. My name is Aileen McPherson, and I'm the Director of Marketing at Wolters Kluwer CCH Tagetik, and I'm here to welcome you to today's session, Budgeting Done Right for Law Firms. Let's start with a little bit of housekeeping first. Should you have any questions on any of the discussion points today, please feel free to submit them to the email currently showing on your screen or via the chat function, and we will be sure to address them at the end of the session, or we will be in touch one-on-one if we don't have time to get to them. With the housekeeping out of the way, I'd now like to introduce today's presenters. You can see on your left, we have Harjot Ghai. He is the Chief Operating Officer of Delbridge Solutions. Harjot is the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer who has over 10 years of experience implementing solutions for budgeting, forecasting, and reporting for many mid-sized and Am Law 100 firms. As a trusted advisor, Harjot guides law firms to adopt best practices in budgeting using world-class solutions like CCH Tagetik. At Delbridge, he is responsible for managing customer relationships and ensuring their success. Welcome, Harjot.
Hello.
And we have Rob Honans. And we also have Rob Honans. He is an account and relationship management executive. He's with CCH Tagetik here in North America and has over 20 years of experience in the corporate performance management marketplace and is a frequent commentator on performance management topics such as financial planning and analysis, both for CCH Tagetik webinars and lots of conferences and events. And without further ado, I will now turn it over to Rob to begin today's session.
Thank you, Aileen, for the kind words, and good day, everyone. Wish we could all be there live and in person with everybody, but this is the world we live in today. I just wanted to quickly introduce who we are, CCH Tagetik. So CCH Tagetik is a wholly owned subsidiary of a publicly traded company, Wolters Kluwer. It has annual revenues of approximately $5 billion. We operate globally. And we have about 19,000 employees, and we, report through the particular business unit of tax and accounting. And CCH Tagetik is really the flagship solution that we offer to the Office of Finance for information and services to satisfy the needs of the Office of Finance. So we'll talk a little bit more about the breadth of the solution in a little bit here, but that's just a quick introduction to who we are. And with that, I'm going to have Harjot introduce Delbridge to you.
Thank you, Rob. Hi, guys. This is Harjot from Delbridge Solutions. So I'll just give a little bit of background about our organization for the folks who don't know who we are. The Delbridge Solutions is a leading provider of solutions for corporate performance management, which includes budgeting, forecasting, and reporting. Our company was founded by my business partners and myself in 2011. And prior to founding Delbridge, my business partners and I used to work for a CPM vendor called Clarity Systems. Clarity was a leading provider of CPM solutions for law firms, and this is where we also gained our experience. Delbridge has a global presence with offices in Canada, the US, and Europe. And by having a global presence, we provide our clients with around-the-clock support as required. This is very important for law firms which have a global footprint, as Delbridge has the resources to help them around the clock. Delbridge has over 60 law firms which is providing services for, and a lot of our mid-market law firms, are mostly in North America, but we all do have large law firms which have presence across the globe as well. And we are one of CCH Tagetik's first strategic partners in North America and have implemented over 100 projects successfully. With our partnership with CCH Tagetik, we have worked closely with them to provide a budgeting and reporting solution that's tailored for law firms. And our solution is productized, enabling us to apply best practices for budgeting, OPEX expenses, as well as managing timekeeper revenue, WIP, AR, and realization. So there are many reasons why law firms have inefficient budgeting and reporting processes. So I'll share some of the common pain points. One of the most common pain points is having a pure Excel-based process. We typically call this Excel hell. We all know Excel is a great product, but it has limitations, especially as law firms grow, have many practice areas, departments, and open multiple offices. This makes it very difficult for law firms and finance teams to consolidate data. They need to distribute sometimes hundreds of Excel files to collect the data and then consolidate the budgets all in Excel. With all these Excel files, it's very difficult and extremely difficult for them to know which files are the latest version, and this can result in multiple versions of the truth. Linking all these files and tabs is also very manually intensive and prone to human error. So as you would expect, this leads to numbers not being correct, which ultimately leads to bad decisions being made. Another common pain point for law firms is that there's not too many law firm solutions or budgeting solutions that are tailored for law firms in the market. A common theme that we see with CPM solutions in the market is that they don't integrate very well with ERP or GL systems, which are commonly used by law firms. And the solutions, require a lot of integration work, and the data is never really real time. So this also includes, getting data from transactional systems as well. And, with them not being able to integrate with your source data, the implementation costs are higher as well. And so, this requires a lot of finance teams within the law firms also to change their business process because these solutions are not productized for law firms. And this inflexibility ultimately leads to lower user acceptance as users are frustrated that they have to change their process to fit the product. This also increases implementation costs because most data entry templates and reports have to be built from scratch. And also many CPM solutions today are simply not scalable for a growing law firm. As law firms grow and expand into new regions and have multi-currency requirements, existing solutions just don't scale that well. Lastly, most software vendors which provide general budgeting solutions simply just don't understand how law firms budget. They don't understand the unique requirements of law firms and do not speak the language that finance teams within law firms speak. This causes requirements often, to be misunderstood by vendor consultants and solutions built which don't meet the requirements of the finance team. So after working with law firms for many years and partnering with CCH Tagetik many years ago, both of our organizations have jointly worked together to create a budgeting, forecasting, and reporting solution specifically designed for law firms. Because the solution is productized for law firms, there are many reasons we feel it's the best solution in the market. The first reason that our solution in CCH Tagetik is that it allows law firms to optimize their profitability by having timely access to data all within a centralized data model. As the data is all, centralized and it's all coming from your ERP systems and different payroll systems that you may have directly into Tagetik, your budget's also being directly inputted into Tagetik by your end users. All finance users, can do their variance analysis very easy because their actual budget forecasting data is all within one solution. And by doing variance analysis, monitoring the profitability of each office, they can make better decisions for the future as well. Modeling is another reason we feel that the CCH Tagetik is the best solution for law firms. Finance users can create multiple versions of their budget to do what-if modeling, and there's no limitations on how many budgets and versions of what-if scenarios we create in the solution. What-if modeling is a great way users can model the impact on revenue and expenses based on changes such as currency rates, opening a new office, or updating rates and hours assumptions for timekeepers. Another key reason we feel our solution is the best in the market for law firms is time to value. What this means is that because our solution is productized, we provide many out-of-the-box data entry templates and reports which have been pre-built for law firms. This allows our clients to go live much faster and start using the solution. We often find that our solution cuts down implementation efforts compared to other vendors by at least 40%.
Thanks, Harjot. That was very informative. I just wanted to give you, the audience, some ideas of, number one, what are some of the benefits of the CCH Tagetik solution. Obviously, Delbridge provides the law-specific capabilities, tailored really the application to do so. But more generally speaking, CCH Tagetik, one of the key benefits that you can realize out of the solution is you can plan at whatever level of detail you want. And the reason we're able to do that is we introduced to the market something, which really is an operational data layer that's associated with our application that we call the Analytic Information Hub. And it allows you to, just for example, plan revenue by attorney. So, by individual as opposed to maybe doing it by, practice, for example. By having this ability to support large amounts of data, you're able to plan more accurately and able to plan at the appropriate level of detail. as your organization requires. As Harjot said, our solution is easily integrated with law firm systems, their ERP and general ledger systems, and that gives you a really true single source of the truth. And part of the reason why you can implement our solution more quickly, as Harjot noted, out of the box data entry templates, but also out of the box, I'll say calculations for things like employee compensation, like employee benefits, and taxes that that you need to plan for are all pre-configured in the solution. And then the solution is easily adopted by your organization because everybody's familiar with Excel, and you can leverage our Excel interface to satisfy the requirements of finance. And for those folks that are more comfortable and would like a browser-based interface, the solution does support that as well. So whether I'm using an iPad and I want to connect it to Getic, I can do that through the browser on the iPad or some other mobile device or my laptop, or whatever. And we like to just present that the solution enables you to work the way you want to work. So every organization has a different process that they go through for planning. Whether that's the annual planning process may differ slightly from a reforecasting process. The frequency that clients reforecast is always different, and we allow you to tailor a workflow and task-based workflow to guide users through the process. So, if somebody only participates in the annual budgeting process, they're using the solution really once a year. In doing so, in terms of like gathering data. So it's important to guide them through what your expectations are, and our workflow allows you to do just that. So I want to talk a little bit about one of our customers, Ropes and Gray. They're a law firm that's headquartered in Boston. I live in the Boston area myself, very familiar with this firm. And just a couple things about, number one, what were they looking to issues that they were looking to solve, and then a little bit about what they've been able to achieve. So first and foremost, they were really doing everything in Microsoft Excel, just as Harjot was saying. They had a lot of, I'll say, some of those common pain points that Harjot was pointing out earlier. But more specifically, it was very difficult for them to create new reports. And there's always a need for a new report. One of their clients, may ask for some information, and finance team needs to turn that report around quickly, and that was quite difficult for them to do. And because everything was Excel based, the reports were all in Excel, they really couldn't drill down from summary level data down to more detailed information, and certainly could not easily get access to the data to maybe the actual information that was in their general ledger system. That just was not possible. So they would have to pull data, from those various source systems into Excel, do a lot of one-off analysis, and it really was quite difficult. And then, when they would get ready to do their planning process annually, they would start, creating a revenue model in Excel, and it literally took them, a full, like a year's worth of an FTE to create this Excel model that they would then distribute out to the organization for input from the team. So, I think that those were pretty significant challenges that they had. So they were looking for a solution that would allow them really to eliminate the pain points that they were experiencing with Excel, have a much more flexible reporting environment, the ability to create reports more quickly, and be able to do them in one place, and then get access to both, their budget data, which they were, collecting through Getic going forward, as well as, access to the actual results that they were seeing. And they created a fully integrated financial model with revenue planning, really driven by planning by attorney. So they not only plan by attorney, but they can plan really by a number of different, I'll say, dimensions of their business. So they can plan by person, by office, by practice, cohort with seasonality considered, and ultimately they get gross hours by practice, which then they can use to determine what the revenue looks like. We have a pretty significant capability in an integrated allocation engine as well that allows them to understand profitability by practice, for example, or by office. There's a number of different ways that they can break that down as well by really understanding the cost components that are associated with the revenue, by practice, et cetera, and then understanding profitability. They have not done so as of yet, but certainly there's a capability of also doing client profitability. So, what clients are really, are profitable and which ones are not. And what it gives you the ability to then understand how you can manage your relationships with your clients, more profitably for your organization. So this implementation was approximately 6 months in duration, and ultimately what they got out of it was number one, a much more streamlined process in terms of initiating a budget cycle for them. So instead of it taking a tremendous amount of time to create this revenue model and then roll it out year after year, that's a really painless process for them to do today. And gathering data has been pretty straightforward for the organization. They've had very, very good user acceptance of the application, which is probably the ultimate test of any solution that you deploy. If users don't accept it and don't use it, it's all just for naught. So that's super important. So they've had very, very good adoption of the application, which gives everybody confidence in the information. So not only are they gathering the information, but the information is all vetted and validated by finance. So there is really literally a single version of the truth now within the organization, and they feel confident in measuring performance against the benchmark of the budget or the forecast because there's confidence in the numbers. So, overall, I think they've accomplished quite a bit in a fairly short amount of time. And, I think that they're a good representation of what the capability that you may be able to realize within your firm with CCH Tagetik in Delbridge. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Just a quick overview, a little bit higher level of, what are the things that Tagetik offers beyond, I'll say, planning for a law firm. So we have a very broad solution for the CPM market or corporate performance management market, and it goes beyond just FP&A. So we also can optimize the close and consolidation process for organizations that may be multi-entity and are global in nature. They may need to actually do financial consolidation with intercompany eliminations, et cetera. We can optimize that. As I mentioned earlier, our allocation engine is really quite robust, and it gives you the capability of really doing detailed analysis of profitability and costing. And then we also have a pretty significant regulatory reporting offering, such as we can automate lease accounting, for example. We also have some other capabilities specific to the insurance market, which is relevant for law firms, but there's quite a bit of capability in terms of reporting itself. We are really invested in advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning, which you will be able to leverage should you become a CCH Tagetik client. So we're constantly reinvesting in the application. The product is widely used across lots of different industries. Obviously, law is one of those, but the product is really quite flexible, and it does speak to the capability of the configurability of the application. So all of our customers use this product as is with no customization. It's all their particular uses of the application are all done based on configuration. With that, I'd like to open it up to questions and answers. Aileen, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Harjot. So we do have time for a couple of questions here, and I'll throw the first one out. What are some common ERP GL systems that CCH Tagetik has integrated with?
Yeah, I could take
Maybe
that
Harjot,
question.
you can take that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could take that question. It's a great question. So, Tagetik, some of the common ERP GL systems that we see, a lot of law firms use that we can integrate with, a few are Adirond, and another one is, through Thomson Reuters Elite, their 3E or Enterprise ERP GL system. So these are the common ones we see that law firms use, and we have experience integrating with these ERP GL systems to pull the data into Tagetik as well. Our consultants have been using these ERP systems for many years as well. So these are some of the common ones, but one of Tagetik's greatest strengths is that it can integrate with any data source. It has its own ETL interface built in within CCH Tagetik. So this allows power users and administrators from the client side to pull data from any ERP system. They can schedule, how often they want the refresh of the data to be. It could be real time as well. And then we also have the ability to pull data from even payroll systems, right? So if you want to bring in timekeeper information, employee information such as their salaries, benefits, bonuses, tax rates, and all that stuff, we can pull from the different source systems as well. So, we can pull from any ERP system, but the more commonly ones we see within law firms are Adirond and Thomson Reuters Elite 3E or Enterprise.
Thank you for that. I do have one more question here in the queue. How long does it take to implement CCH Tagetik at a mid-sized law firm? And you know what, Harjot, why don't you start with that one, and then we'll see if we can pass that to Rob for some insight as well.
Sure, no problem. And it's a pretty general question, but it obviously depends on the size of the client as well as the complexity of their budgeting, forecasting, or reporting process. But I would say for a mid-market, mid-sized law firm, 2 to 4 months is pretty typical for an implementation of CCH Tagetik. Obviously we can shorten the implementation time if you add more resources or if the client is obviously more engaged during the implementation process as well. But I would say 2 to 4 months is the typical implementation timeline for a mid-market law firm. One thing I'd also like to emphasize is that our methodology when we do implementations is that we like to train the power users and administrators of CCH Tagetik from the client side. We like to train them up front during the starting of the implementation. The reason we like to do this is because once they've been trained in the product, they can help us with the implementation. They can help build some, data entry templates as well as reports, help integrate the data sources. And if they're involved during the implementation, it cuts down implementation costs, it shortens the timeline. And more importantly, it allows our clients to become self-sufficient, right? So when they're live in production, they don't necessarily need to call our consultants all the time. They can make changes themselves and be self-sufficient.
Yeah, I just have one thing to add to that, Harjot, and that is I think one of the reasons why you've been so successful as a CCH Tagetik partner is the way you've approached, implementing the solution in a phased manner, right? You don't approach it like we're going to boil the ocean and we've got to do 85 different things before we're going to go live with the solution. You break it up into logical phases for the project, which our clients really, really appreciate. So we really, think you approach it the right way, from that perspective. And that, I think that accounts also for your, I'll say, range of, what it will take how long it can take, because, you can get up and running fairly quickly with the beginnings of something in a couple months, and it might take a little bit longer to do all the things that it's on the client's list to accomplish. So, you're very flexible in that manner. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great point. Thanks, Rob.
Sure. Aileen, any more questions?
No, that's what we've got for today. So I think that we're good to wrap up the session. I want to take a minute and thank both of you for an insightful presentation and, of course, your time today. Thank you, Harjot and Rob.
Thank you, Aileen, and thank you.
Yeah, and then basically for our audience, if there are any additional questions, you can send them to our email address, which is marketingna@walterskluwer.com, and we will be happy to follow up with you one-on-one. And with that, I will say thank you again to Harjot and Rob. Thank you to those who tuned in, and I will wish you all a fantastic day.